So this study in C by rrega, you can get the sheet music off the site, but you can also find it in my grade 3 repertoire lessons book. And in my grade 3 book, it comes with 2 pages of lesson material before the actual piece to teach you some ideas and concepts about the piece. But you can watch these videos for free and pick up all the musical tips and technical tips and apply them either to the piece if you already have it or to other pieces that you might have. So in this piece, it's nothing too strange in this piece to work out, but there are some barres that we have to talk about, some pivots in and out of barres. We haven't talked about pivots before in my graded series, so we'll talk about pivots, and also just like bringing out the melody in this piece, in this kind of 3-voice piece. So this piece has 3 voices. It has a bass voice, and it has a melody, and it has an accompaniment. And really, if you want to really eliminate some of the notes, that would be the accompaniment. So on the first page of my lessons, I've written the piece out including just the bass notes and just the melody. So I've gotten rid of the accompaniment completely. And you can do this with any of your pieces just by identifying which notes are the melody and which are the bass notes and just playing that without any of the accompaniment. You could also just play the melody on its own, but in this particular piece the melody is pretty minimal, so I've decided to add the bass note as well. So let's play that, just the bass notes and the melody. Second half. Now I've kept all the same fingerings as the piece there, so some of the fingerings on that written page might seem a little illogical, but they make sense in the context of the actual piece. So not much to say there, just make sure you're bringing out the melody really nicely and you're smoothly connecting everything. If you practice this page quite a bit before adding the rest of the notes, you should have a good conception of what the piece should sound like and have some good musical principles attached to the piece. I'll do a walkthrough of the piece in a second, but let's just go over the rest of my notes. Some chord shapes for this piece. A barre chord, 5th position, 3 strings. And then with the 4th finger reached out. Just make sure you're close to the fret, right? We have a tendency to barre slightly on the side of our fingers, but the most important thing is to slide up close to that fret and make sure you're not crooked. This is no good. This is no good. You have to be close to the fret on every string. So that means you should be able to pretty much feel the fret on your finger on each string. And then you can push fairly lightly and and it won't buzz or anything like that. And then when you reach this finger out, just make sure your hand is aligned. And then we have a C chord. And then we have a C with a barre over the F. This is a non-chord tone, but it'll make more sense in the piece. And an F chord. This is part of your full F chord, but we'll reduce it here. Students at the grade 3 level generally have some trouble, especially barring at the first fret over 6 strings. So if it's a little bit of a challenge to you, just remember, like, focus on the 6th string and then the upper 2 strings. Your second finger has the A. You don't have to clamp down on all 6 strings. Really focus the tension of your barre onto those and make sure you're close to the fret on each of those strings. If you're doing that, give it a little bit of time. Like with my younger students, kids, when they're first learning to barre, they just buzz. They just buzz for the first little while. But as long as they're holding their finger correctly and they're close to the fret, we slowly zero in on it. So give it time, but just make sure you're using good technique. And then this C chord with the G in the bass. And the barre. Now, the main thing though is pivot chords. So, or pivots. So pivots position you in and out of barre chords. So in this particular case, we're holding this C chord down, and this C and the open G are ringing nice and beautifully. So we don't want to stop them from ringing by taking our finger off the C, but we need an F there. Now we could do it like this, but it's a little awkward, right? So instead, we just pivot into a barre. So keeping our finger on C and letting the C continue to ring, we pivot our first finger into the barre. I'd recommend when you're first learning this that you just make it very, very clear. So you play the chord, barre, lift off the barre. But don't take your first finger off that C. Make sure the C is ringing out the whole time. It's kind of a weird technique, and it's like an oddity, but that's why we don't introduce it usually until grade 3. Around grade 3, students start getting some experience with barres, and in my books, you've had some experience in every grade with a little bit of barre chords. So now pivoting into one shouldn't be too difficult. So the other example is when the G is in the bass. Just remember, again, you can't put your finger down like this because that's not close to the fret on the first string. It has to be close to the fret. So when you pivot, make sure you're close to the fret on both of those strings. Good. I'll just do a walkthrough of the piece and to show you a few things about the fingering. Right hand fingering is super easy in this piece, just P-I-M-A-M-I the whole time. So nothing to worry about there. Those little bird beaks, those are accent marks. That marks the melody. And it's all in triplets. Uneventful here. When I teach young students this kind of music, I'll sometimes say, like, you can think of each voice like this. The melody is the king and the queen. The bass voice is like the noble class, the court, people at court. And then the accompaniment, that's the peasants, right? So the king and the queen in medieval Europe speak the loudest, right? They have the loudest voice. Everyone listens to that. And the bass voice, the noble people, they have a voice, but doesn't overpower the king and the queen. So the melody is the king and the queen, and then the accompaniment, I am finger here, is just the peasants, and their voice doesn't get to be heard. That's not a great lesson in terms of humanity, but in terms of notes, there's always a hierarchy in music. So the notes have a hierarchy. That's melody, bass, accompaniment. In real life, we hope that everyone is equal, but not in music. So here, we just have to go into third position, use our second finger there because we have to hold the bass down, and then transition our second finger down to F natural, which might seem weird because it's like in a negative position, but that allows these two fingers to grab the C chord right afterwards very easily. You can see when I'm playing that, I already have the shape of C ready to go, so it's easier to grab it afterwards. You can't actually sustain that bass the whole bar, so sometimes the rest is written or a rest with brackets. Third position, bar at the 5th fret. Then during the open string you can shift. When you get down here, when you play this A here, grab the G with your third finger. If you hold on to the F sharp too long, then it'll be pretty stressful to grab that G. So when you play that A, lift that third finger so you can grab the next one. Second half. Pivot, pivot. Slide the 4th finger around. Barre. And you can see, like, while I'm playing that previous open string, I create the shape in midair. That way when it's time to play it, you just go straight down into the strings. Pivot. Same trick here. It's actually like a very successful piece. I teach this all the time, and I almost didn't want to put it in the book because it's available for free on the site, but I had to. It's the perfect piece for this grade level. It has barre, it has a beautiful melody, it's a romantic era piece, there's pivot bars in it. It's the perfect piece, and I wanted to write out those extra pages of lessons on the piece to help students practice those things first. That way when they actually go and play the piece, hopefully the piece feels fairly easy.